Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you're a busy homeowner, I know exactly what you're facing right now. May's creeping up, the weather's warming, and you want a stunning yard. But you definitely don't want to berm every single week and hour to make it happen. So today we're laying out a step-by-step May work plan. It's totally tailored for busy people who want maximum results with minimal maintenance. Seriously, are you tired of feeling like you're just constantly wrestling with nature? Every single spring, so many folks fall into the exact same trap. They buy a ton of plants, tear up the yard, water like crazy, battle weeds, and by August, it's just an overgrown mess. Well, let's flip that script. We're talking about the plant once, enjoy forever philosophy. It's all about setting up a landscape that literally does the heavy lifting for you. So, here is our 4-step blueprint. 1. Permanent structures. 2. Plant one's perennials. 3. Mulch and feed. And 4. The busy gardener's checklist.
Let's jump right into step 1, permanent structures.
Think about the edging that separates your lawn from your flower beds. A lot of beginners just grab plastic because, well, it's cheap, but it cracks and warps in just a couple of years. On the flip side, going with stone or concrete takes a bit more elbow grease up front, but it's going to last you 20 to 30 years with zero maintenance. Doing it right today saves you 2 solid decades of annoying weekend repairs. And if you're setting up raised beds, memorize this number, 12. 12 inches is the absolute sweet spot for depth. If you go shallow, like 4 inches, tomato roots will stall out in 2 weeks. But a massive 24-inch bed, that's just wasting money on soil you honestly don't need. 12 inches is perfect for pretty much everything. Now for that 12-inch bed, please avoid the super common mistake of just dumping in cheap, bagged garden soil. It compacts like concrete. Instead, you want an ideal mix. That's 60% quality topsoil, 30% compost, and 10% perlite or coarse sand. This specific blend guarantees excellent drainage all season long. Moving right along to step 2, plant one's perennials. This right here is the busy homeowner's ultimate secret weapon. See, an annual plant gives you one pretty season and then dies. But a perennial, that's a long-term investment. You plant it once, it takes a nap over the winter, and boom, it wakes up next spring bigger and better. Over a 5-year stretch, perennials will save you so much cash and effort. Let's do a rapid-fire shopping list of virtually indestructible perennials for your May planting. Got full sun? Black-eyed Susans will actually self-seed, and coneflowers handle drought while feeding winter birds. Daylilies are so tough they practically multiply for free in sun or part shade. For dry, rocky problem spots, Russian sage is completely drought-proof. And for the shade, hostas are your absolute superstar. Actually, let's talk about hostas for a second, because they are a lazy gardener's best friend. People often look at the dark, shady side of their house and just give up. Don't. Hostas have these giant, dramatic leaves. You just plant them, toss down a little organic slug bait in early spring, and ignore them. They are a totally zero-maintenance showstopper. But hey, if you're planning on growing vegetables instead, the magic number is 6. Before you plant a single seed, go outside and track your sun. Most veggies, like tomatoes, peppers, and squash, need a strict minimum of 6 hours of direct sunlight every single day. If your spot only gets 4 hours, don't force a tomato to grow there. It just won't work. Stick to shade-tolerant salad greens instead. All right, step 3, mulch and feed. This is your quick guide to early season protection and nutrition. For mulch, you've got solid options like shredded bark, wood chips, and straw. But honestly, compost is king because it mulches and feeds your plants as it breaks down. For your lawn, keep it simple with a balanced 25-10 spring feed. But here's the catch. Only apply it once your soil temperature actually hits 55 degrees. When you do lay down that mulch, you absolutely have to follow the 2-inch rule. Please avoid the dreaded mulch volcano. You know what I mean, where you see mulch piled high up against a tree trunk? That traps moisture and literally rots the plant right at its base. Always, always pull the mulch 2 inches away from stems so they can actually breathe. Why is mulching so crucial? Because a proper 2 to 3 inch layer cuts your watering needs by up to 50%. 50%! It locks in moisture and stops 90% of weed seeds from ever germinating. It's truly a massive time saver. And when you do need to water, forget those rigid schedules. Overwatering kills just as many plants as underwatering. Use the foolproof finger test instead. Just push your finger 2 inches into the dirt. If it's dry, water right at the base. Moist? Wait. Wet? Definitely wait.
It's so simple, but it completely prevents root rot.
Finally, step 4, the busy gardener's checklist.
Here are 3 essential prep steps to knock out. First, look up your USDA hardiness zone online so you only buy plants that can survive your winters. Second, grab a cheap soil thermometer. Remember that fertilizer rule we just talked about? You need the soil to hit 55 degrees before feeding your lawn, otherwise the roots physically cannot absorb the nutrients. And third, plan everything on paper before you hit the garden center, so you don't impulse buy things you don't have room for. Planning on paper stops the absolute chaos of overcrowding. When you cram seedlings together, by July it's a tangled jungle fighting for light, and fungal diseases take over. Instead, use a square-foot grid system. It ensures your plants have clear spacing and healthy airflow, which equals a much bigger harvest for you.
Oh, and while you're mapping out that grid, remember this golden rule. Never plant the same family of vegetables in the exact same spot 2 years in a row. If you put tomatoes in the same corner every May, you're slowly building up soil diseases and draining specific nutrients. Rotate them. Taking a quick picture on your phone before planting makes tracking this super easy. Okay, here's your self-check evaluation. Seriously, take a screenshot of this checklist and take it outside this weekend. Ask yourself, is my mulch 2 to 3 inches deep? Am I only watering when the soil is dry 2 inches down? Are my beds getting too crowded? Fixing these things right now will save you hours of grueling labor next month. There's a great quote that says 20 minutes of planning in February saves you an entire season of frustration. But honestly, whether it's February or right now in May, mapping out your sun hours, picking resilient perennials, and mulching properly is going to pay off massively. A tiny bit of strategy today is worth 100 hours of pulling weeds later. So, as you head out into your yard, I want to leave you with this question. Are you building a garden that works for you, or are you just working for your garden? The choices you make in your May step-by-step plan will decide the answer. Thanks for hanging out with me in this explainer, and go build yourself a brilliant low-maintenance space.